The regular meeting of the Annapolis City Council on Monday, April 14th will be called to order at 7 p.m. At this time, please join us for the invocation given by Alderman Pendell Charles, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight's invocation is titled, "Was the Day of the Mayor's Budget." Was the day of the Mayor's Budget, and all through City Hall, all the preachers were staring. Some were even sorry. Tonight's invocation, "'Twas the day of the Mayor's Budget." Thank you. "'Twas the day of the Mayor's Budget, and all through City Hall, all the creatures were stirring. Some were even climbing the walls. The budget books were all hung. By the copier they all sat, in hopes that the mayor for once would come by wearing a top hat. The finance department was nestled all snug in their cubbies, while visions of numbers lie tucked away in their tubbies. And Jody in her kerchief and Brittany in her cap finally found some time to settle their brains for a bit of a nap. When first out in the street and down in the lobby there arose such a clatter, everyone sprang from their desks to see what was the matter. Away to the windows they flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and oops, knocked over the trash. The sun, how clear was the day, and oh, so shiny and bright. A perfect spring day with many blossoms in sight. Then what to their wondering eyes did appear quick in a flash, but a very large bus from transportation carrying piles and bundles of cash. With several e-drivers and Director Moore waving the code, they knew in a moment that they'd hit the mother lode. More rapid than bird bikes, city managers and directors they came, and then someone whistled and called them out by their name. Now Malinoff and Buckler, now Jakubiak, now Vogel, now Ramalley, now Hopkins, now Jackson. Now they are all moguls. Now Simmons, now Johnson, now Paquin, now Lyles, now Watkins, Eldridge. Now they can see all the cash, all in these big piles. To the top of the stairs, to the top of the floor. Now stash away more. As the excitement started to lessen and everyone cooled down, overjoyed with these blessings, it was a sight that was way too profound. And then in a twinkling, they heard on the roof of the garage some prancing and pawing, but it was City Dock and an incoming barge. As they all drew their heads and were turning around, at the foot of Main Street, a barge came up with a bound. The barge was dressed up in all flowers and a big fancy bow. It was the prettiest barge, especially when it dumped its cargo. Like the transit bus, this barge was full of grants, oh, so many. Like bundles of Santa's toys, the city was grateful. There were good and so plenty. The barge's stern how it twinkled, its starboard now how merry. Its cheeks were like roses, and its port side looked like a cherry. Its droll-looking bow was drawn up like a bow, and the captain herself yelled out to her team, "Now let's get up and go." She had a big grin and then a smile that could light up the city. She had the face of an angel, which made her even more pretty. She chuckled as she quickly made her way up Main Street. Everyone stood in amazement. They were all in disbelief. Standing on the sidewalk, some were chubby and plump, some were quite thin and quite tiny, and some fell down with a thump. A wink of her eye and a twist of her head soon gave us to know we had nothing to dread. She spoke not a word, but went straight to her work and filled all the city's stockings with grants, then turned with a jerk. And laying a finger aside of her nose and giving a nod back down Main Street, she goes. She returned to her barge and to her team gave a whistle. And away they all sped off City Dock into the water like a down of a thistle. But we all heard her exclaim as she sped out of sight, "Merry Mayor's Budget Day, and to all a very good night."
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley.
Here.
Alderman Huntley. Here. Alderwoman O'Neill. Present. Alderman Pendell Charles.
Here.
Alderman Finlayson. Alderman Chandlemeyer.
Present.
Alderman Gay. Alderman Savage.
Present.
Alderman Arnett.
Present.
Q, Mr. City Attorney, please present the first item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The first item on the agenda is State of the City Address, presented by Mayor Gavin Buckley.
Okay. It's only going to take 3 hours, so you should be good. Well, welcome everybody, and welcome to everybody that's tuned in. Thank you so much. Before I start my speech, I want to say thank you all for putting up with me. I didn't know a lot when I first started this job, and I know a lot more now. But thank you for coming on that journey. So good evening. Welcome to my final State of the City address as Mayor of this beautiful, historic city of Annapolis, the city that we all love. Tonight, I will introduce the Mayor's budget for the 2026 financial year. The 7th year in a row, we are delivering a balanced budget with no property tax increase. This strong financial position we find ourselves in doesn't just happen. It takes hard work, careful analysis, thoughtful decisions, and a commitment to accountability. It takes a team effort, as everything we have achieved together over the past 7+ years has done. It has taken an amazing team, and you are lucky to have the amazing team that work for you in this city. And because we did the work to set our finances in order from day one, we've also been able to deliver a transformational agenda to ensure our city doesn't just have great history, but it also has a great future. To achieve this, we focused on 5 broad policy areas. 1, greater financial transparency and accountability. 2, a more resilient and sustainable future. 3, a more inclusive and engaged community. 4, investment in essential infrastructure and local economy. And 5, a community-focused model for public health and for safety. Tonight, I'll report on all the ways we've worked to deliver on these goals. And forgive me, I'm going to take a bit of time and license to look back over the last 8 years. Because, what are you going to do, fire me? Above all, tonight I want to give a thanks and credit to the hundreds of people and partner organisations that have made it all possible. Because no one ever achieves anything of any lasting worth on their own. Before becoming mayor, I had a strong sense of what our community needed. After listening to fellow business owners, neighbours and friends, we aspired to go big. I promised to be a mayor for positive change, and I tried to be very honest when I said, if you don't want to see change, don't vote for me. That went down well at the doors. The residents of Annapolis elected me with a majority twice, and they elected a council that also believes in transforming people's lives. We thank them, we thank you for that endorsement of our vision. One thing I quickly learned after being elected is the pace of government can be painfully slow. But in spite of setbacks, we continue to push and persuade and partner our way to some amazing outcomes, which I'm pleased to report to you tonight. But like mayors around the globe, I also quickly learned that we don't always get to pick our day-to-day priorities. That was the case when gun violence impacted our community in 2 shocking mass casualty events. The Capitol Gazette shooting that killed 5, and the Paddington Place shooting that killed 3 and injured 3. Alongside these horrific incidents, we also experienced individual incidents of gun violence that have killed and injured members of our community. These kinds of challenges in public health and safety require focus. Gun violence is not just an Annapolis problem. It's a uniquely American problem with limits to local solutions. The big picture reality of gun violence in our nation has not stopped us from deploying a comprehensive approach to gun violence in our community in Annapolis, and we have combined that with strong law enforcement, response alongside community neighbourhoods initiatives to prevent violence. In 2019, we brought a new police chief through an innovative community process with resident advice and oversight. Annapolis Police Chief Edward Jackson has brought a Guardians not warriors approach to policing in Annapolis, which combines community initiatives to deal with the drivers of crime alongside active law enforcement and amazing investigation. Over the past 6+ years, Annapolis Police have worked with youth on summer camps through Positive Impact Program. They've launched re-entry programs that provide job skills and training to individuals returning from incarceration to help them reintegrate into society and reduce recidivism. APD regularly hosts movie nights, coffee with a cop, other community events to give residents regular and ongoing positive interactions with the Annapolis Police Department. Under the Annapolis United Public Safety Plan, they've established a boxing program in collaboration with the United States Naval Academy boxing team. Here, I must take a moment to acknowledge the leadership of Alderwoman Rhonda Pindell-Charles. She's not only a chair of Public Safety Committee, but she's also championed resources and funding through community programs like Annapolis United, which supports cross-departmental community outreach efforts, safety and planning and reporting, and with an emphasis on ensuring opportunities for youth, especially underserved youth at risk. Thank you, Rhonda, for your leadership on these issues and for keeping your focus on the men and women who serve in public safety roles. Alongside Mayor's Office initiatives like No Harm violence prevention teams, we've also worked with the County Health Department to bring cure violence intervention programs to the city. We are reaching deep into neighbourhoods to detect and prevent violent crime. I've been deliberate and intentional in building a Mayor's Office that is focused on community issues because it sends a powerful message about what we stand for. We have no illusions that these programs will totally eliminate crime, which has existed for as long as humans have lived together in societies, but they do reflect our commitment to meet people where they are, try new things, build partnerships, and make a difference. Our community initiatives are completed by the excellent work of policing and detection under and by Annapolis Police Department. Chief Jackson has hosted gun give-backs to get weapons off the street. Each year, they have executed numerous warrants, seized weapons, and even uncovered a local ghost gun factory. They work closely with the state's attorney's office on prosecutions so that dangerous offenders are taken off the street. In the past 6 years, APD has improved on case closure rates from violent crime. This ensures accountability and justice to victims and families and sends a clear deterrent message. If you come here to commit crime, you will be held to account. Public safety is also responding to unexpected emergencies. In 2020, when George Floyd protesters arrived to denounce police violence, Chief Jackson and I marched alongside and we took a knee. The chief entered a respectable dialogue with protesters, and I believe that dialogue helped us avoid the unrest we saw in other communities around the country. Other unexpected emergencies included COVID-19 pandemic that began in March 2020 and the Annapolis tornado, which tore through Parole's neighborhood in September of 2021, causing millions of economic damage. Our Office of Emergency Management expertly managed both of those crises under the leadership of Director Kevin Simmons. Thank you, Kevin. COVID was a particularly challenging time. It seems like so long ago, but nobody knew that was coming, and it's something you cannot prepare for. Annapolis lost 104 people to the virus, which also sickened 10,000 people in our community. Our Annapolis Fire Department did an outstanding job not only caring for and transporting people who were very sick from coronavirus, but also people who had regular medical challenges like strokes and heart attacks. Some of our paramedics and EMTs got sick too, but the fire department leadership under Chief Doug Romali kept staffing levels sufficient to maintain care for members of our community throughout the pandemic. I also want to give a shout out I just want to give Doug Romali a round of applause on that. I'm going to try to embarrass as many people as I can while I'm here. So Doug loves the spotlight. I also want to give a shout out to IT and TV studio who ensured we could continue to work the work of government virtually. Virtual meetings are routine now, but they were brand new to us just 5 years ago. A huge thanks to Brian Paquin, Julian Jakes, and Mark Hildebrand. Within 2 weeks of the COVID emergency, they had technical solutions in place. And today, thanks to those technologies, city government is more transparent and inclusive than ever before. Round of applause for those people, please. Throughout the shutdown, our City Council met virtually, our essential employees carried on their mission, police patrolled the streets, public works teams kept traffic operations running smoothly, and trash got picked up on time. The Permits Office helped homeowners and contractors with plans and projects. Our Office of Economic Development worked with small businesses, first through curbside chats and later through recovery zones, where we opened the streets and drastically expanded outdoor dining opportunities. The last one was important not only for small businesses, but also critical to the public, who quickly grew weary of the shutdown. The pandemic also required us to recenter our focus on community engagement and inclusivity. During COVID, we actually expanded community outreach, particularly through the Take Care program, which began as a way to help Spanish-speaking residents understand the dangers of coronavirus. It morphed into a rigorous City of Annapolis effort to encompass not only public information, but also testing, PPE distribution, and vaccinations. COVID tested us, but also showed us how strong we really are as a community. All over the city, people worked to support one another. In addition to health services, volunteers powered food and resource pantries and services. This has created the lasting legacy with our enhanced Food Friday program, now serving 300 Annapolis families. I'd like to give a big shout out and thank you to Alderwoman Carmen O'Neill, who stepped up for our community on those efforts and for her organisational and volunteer recruitment expertise. If you haven't been asked by Carmen to do a Food Friday, I don't know how that could be possible, because she asks all the time and she does an amazing job. Thank you for what you do for our families. These efforts help the council to recognise the importance of having permanent staff in place to guide residents to resources. We established the Office of Community Services, which plays on everyday role to assist our residents. They are our clutch players, quickly moving into action in a crisis. They might be called in the middle of the night to find housing for a displaced family impacted by flood or fire, or they may sit for hours with a family in crisis. It is that kind of teamwork at the core of making city government function optimally to benefit residents. When the Substance Use Disorder team in the Office of Emergency Management wanted to track the availability of beds to residents seeking treatment, they turned to our Office of Information Technology. We developed an app called Bed Finder that provides real-time information on the availability of treatment beds in the region. That app won the prestigious SAG Award, or Special Achievement in GIS, from the ESRI, the international organization that oversees geographic information and system architecture. This kind of teamwork extends our work with our residents challenged by substance abuse disorder. Since 2018, our Naptown Anti-Dope Movement, or NAM, has worked in neighbourhoods on overdose response training, substance use prevention, education, and distributing treatment and recovery information. They are on the ground proactively helping residents who might otherwise be left behind. As a result of their work, it shows in our data, overdoses in Annapolis are down dramatically. Community engagement is also coming together to have fun and celebrate identities, voices, and stories. We are proud to have hosted events with community partners, including the Diaspora Festival, the Day of the Dead Festival. We have supported Pride Parade Festival. Juneteenth, we've enjoyed supporting the arts and youth through our annual poetry book. We've advocated for murals, including the Breonna Taylor mural in Parole, the Thurgood Marshall, Ruth Bader Ginsburg mural on South Street, and the taxi driver mural on the Department of Transportation building, and many, many more. We were approved by UNESCO for a port marker to identify Annapolis as an entry port in the Mid-Atlantic slave trade. And we commemorated the victims of the Capitol Gazette shooting with the First Amendment Memorial on Compromise Street, sponsored by the Caucus of African American Leaders. The caucus convener, Carl Snowden, is with us tonight. He has been a great partner on this and many other projects, including the upcoming dedication to the new Perrin J. Mitchell Memorial in May. Can I get a big round of applause for Carl Snowden? Thank you. Just before COVID, local cycling group, Moore Group, the Mid-Atlantic Off-Road Enthusiast, cut more than a dozen miles of hiker-biker trails at Waterworks Park. There was no cost associated with that work, but during COVID, our parks were put to the test because people longed for sunshine and fresh air during the lengthy lockdown. Waterworks is an amazing amenity for Annapolis residents, and one that very few people knew about 8 years ago. We now have an opportunity to further open the site and have retained the services of the BD Development Group to make it happen. I dream about having a solar-powered brewery there, just a dream of mine, but we'll see what happens. We come together each spring in the dark confines of makeshift movie theatres to enjoy the Annapolis Film Festival. For the past 3 years, we've seen musicians from around the world descend on City Dock for the singer-songwriter. We've watched City Dock's transformation for a motocross-style stunt where ex-gamer Travis Pastrana jumped over Ego Early in a souped-up Subaru. I never thought we would get away with that, but I'm giving myself a round of applause for that. We also presented Keys to the City to some of the favourite sons of Annapolis. Filmmaker and author Rodney Barnes, fashion designer Kristen Siriano, hairstylist Kendall Dorsey, young talent Dylan Gilmore, the family of author Alex Haley, and NFL coach and Navy lacrosse enthusiast Bill Belichick. We do all this because making Annapolis work for our residents means providing meaningful opportunities for work and play. Our Recreation and Parks team definitely has play covered. And thank you, Director Rosalind Johnson, for her leadership. They worked with DPW to renovate the Callahan basketball courts at Pip Moyer, including court resurfacing, a new scoreboard, and tennis and pickleball courts at Truxton got a facelift, new lighting. They revamped, or should I say, re-ramped our skate park at Truxton, and will soon have a ribbon cutting and an event to celebrate that project that was nearly 5 years in the making. Rexham Park have also worked their field's permitting process to align with the county to ensure transparency and equity in field allocation and access. They've hosted Juneteenth celebrations at Carr's Elktonia Beach. They've built an impressive list of festivals and celebrations, including Community Fun Day, the Easter Egg Hunt, the Fall Harvest Festival, Trunk or Treat, and special events for our kids and teens, which is so important to ensure fun for residents in all seasons. We've also focused in being more inclusive in the city by installing curb cuts and sidewalks for wheelchair accessibility, putting chair lifts at the new municipal pool, and creating a new entrance to City Hall so there are no barriers to navigate. We've got adaptive sports programs at the rec centre and serve our transit riding public with kneeling buses and paratransit services. We've also rebuilt our city website, revamped our permit portal to ensure that all residents can be digitally engaged. I'm also proud of the strong, diverse leadership team that we have built. We have such incredible talent. We have been very intentional about ensuring our team brings a broad perspective to work of government. And I want to particularly thank City Manager Mike Malinoff for his role in forging this strong team. We are very proud that we have city leaders and staff who look and share experiences with the residents they serve. Thank you, Mike Malinoff. Throughout my tenure, I've leaned into the belief that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We believed we could meet residents' needs, navigate challenges, and press ahead with work on critical priorities. Big dreams have shaped our approach to infrastructure development and resilience, and we have worked hard to deliver on them. Our best infrastructure work begins with a good plan. CityDoc has needed love for a long time. As the flooding at the site grows more frequent and more intense, plans for flood resilience have been developed, then shelved, developed, then shelved. Like many of you, I've never understood why we turned the best city real estate into a parking lot. In 2019, we brought together 100 people with broad experiences and strong expertise to help us tackle the increasing challenge of flooding at our historic city dock. These 100 people working issue-specific groups met regularly under the guiding hand of our lead consultant, Eileen Fogarty. You all know Eileen. She's a nationally recognised, multi-award-winning city planner whose outstanding work over 3 decades has shaped communities and cities across the country, including Annapolis, Alexandria, Santa Cruz, Santa Monica. Her ability to listen, to adapt, and to find consensus is a rare talent. We are lucky to have her, and I'd like to give her a round of applause. The CityDoc Action Committee brought forward 2 amazing ideas. The first, for a local resilience authority. That idea required state-enabling legislation, and Anne Arundel County Executive Stuart Pittman and then State Senator Sarah Elfreth worked with the legislation through the Maryland General Assembly in 2020. In 2022, the Resilience Authority of Annapolis and Anne Arundel County was established. Since then, we have partnered on critical public infrastructure projects, including Waterworks Park, Carrs Beach, and the Annapolis Maritime Museum. The other idea was using a public-private partnership, a P3, to fund the work at CityDoc. Our P3 was the Hillman Garage. We raised in 2022 and then reopened with more parking spaces. The new garage also has 125% stormwater capture to prevent pollution in local waterways, a gateless entry which cuts down on idle time inside the garage and reduces pollution and saves user time. I would particularly like to acknowledge the leadership of former city manager David Gerald in the development of the Hillman P3. It brought a $25 million concession payment to CityDoc. I'm proud that the resiliency work of CityDoc is more than 90% funded using the concession payment plus a mix of federal and state funds. The new CityDoc will protect downtown businesses and residents from flooding with a raised earthen berm and deployable floodgates. It will transform the current sea of asphalt into a welcoming 2-acre park at the water's edge. There will be a community space with recreational features, including a fountain, splash pad for families, a stage for local events, walkways that showcase the beautiful views of the water, and shaded areas where we can all gather. The new park will also celebrate the rich and diverse history of Annapolis through a cultural legacy walk. We will create a new Harbour Master's office connected to the visitor's office with accessible and adaptable connections to the Burtis House so that it can be finally accessible to the public. The community planning model worked so well on City Dock that we applied it to other projects as well. When we had an opportunity to reimagine public housing in Harbour House and Eastport Terrace, we applied for a $400,000 grant fund from the US Department of Housing and Urban Development to begin a planning process called Choice Neighbourhood Initiative, CNI. Over the course of 2 years, the Housing Authority and the city planners worked together with residents to imagine and design a mixed-use, mixed-income community that will include popular amenities like parks, a pool, childcare facilities, while still preserving housing options for low-income residents. We are now in the running for a $50 million HUD down payment to kickstart the next stage of the process in what will be the biggest investment and largest infrastructure project in the city's entire history. Housing access and equity is one of the biggest issues facing Annapolis and facing our country. That is why we have prioritized our partnership with HACA and why we are working with other partners and communities to ensure that every resident can have safe, dignified housing options. I want to thank Director of Planning and Zoning, Chris Jakubiak, for his leadership on this issue and for all his work to ensure we are responsive and that we are service-focused. Council members. Council members also play a critical role in helping us focus on these priorities. And here, I want to especially thank Alderman Dewan Gay for his work on this program, programs such as rental assistance, repairs and maintenance grants, and always keeping up the pressure on behalf of our underserviced residents. Dewan is a champion for the underserved, and we really need to acknowledge that, and we are lucky to have him on this council. I would like to acknowledge Alderman Brooke Shandelby for his focus on affordable housing and legislation designed to unlock opportunity, including childcare, rezoning, and his work on our land use study. The childcare zoning applies to all neighbourhoods and is designed to increase availability to support working families where they live. The land use study lays the groundwork for the work we will need to do in the future to address housing affordability and infrastructure needs. It showed that the city is essentially running what amounts to a $9 billion corporation. It may be shocking to some that we manage all the services for this $9 billion of profit with a budget of less than $200 million. And I want to thank Alderman Shandelmeyer for educating me on that. Thank you. Planning is critical to success when managing multiple, often urgent priorities. We continue to work on resilience planning with the US Naval Academy and the Department of Defense. I thank our partners at the Academy, especially Captain Denius and Captain Schwartz, who were the first two base commanders. And I want to shout out Zoe Johnson, who is here from the Academy, who has always been available for this city, and our relationships have never been stronger than they are today. Thank you, Zoe. We have also introduced the 2040 Annapolis Ahead Comprehensive Plan, the Citizen-led Ward Boundaries Plan, the Hazard Mitigation Plan, the Maritime Resilience Initiative, the Maritime Task Force Report, which led to the city's first ever public water access plan. I'd like to thank Chief Planner Eric Lashinsky for his work on these plans and his ability to ensure the community is a big part of the conversation. Thank you very much. Alderman Ross Arnett has also worked to keep the council focused on planning and good management. I'm going to miss you. I also want to thank him for his focus on the maritime issues. Annapolis has a long and rich history as a sailing capital. We must work intentionally to ensure we are supporting maritime industries. Tonight, I would like to propose we dedicate the new 5th Street Park to Alderman Arnett for his 20 years of service. The proposed name that I would like to call it at the end of 5th Street, if you've ever been there, it floods a lot, and it's going to be beautiful when we raise it, and I'd like to call it Ross's Crossing. But can we take a vote on that? The power to transform community starts with an ability to imagine possibility. In the movie Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner heard a voice in a cornfield telling him over and over, if you build it, they will come. We have seen over and over that if we create something of value, people come. We've seen it with the street end parks and new playgrounds at Pip Moyer and Annapolis Walk. We've seen our residents by the thousands spend their summer days at our new $4.5 million municipal pool that opened at Truxton Park in 2021 through the driving force of Alderwoman Sheila Finlayson. We who, after the sale of the Eisenhower Golf Course, pushed us to use those funds to build a fabulous municipal pool with splash pads and lap pools and leisure pools, with beach entry and curly slides. I've got another surprise for you, Sheila. We are going to be naming a park after you as well, once we get that parking in there, but I can't reveal it right now. But I want to thank you for your 20 years of service and the great partnership that you have given me. Thank you. The work of imagining the possible also means learning from others. That is why we undertook resiliency study tours to the Netherlands and to Sweden. These have helped inform our direction on flooding and alternative transportation. On our international tours, we saw firsthand how other countries use infrastructure to handle flooding and ease transportation congestion through public transit, bicycles, and ride shares. When we provide safe infrastructure and cheap, accessible transit options such as cycling and e-transit, we enhance quality of life. Every walker or cyclist represents one less car on the road, a benefit to all. I thank Director Marcus Moore for helping us implement some of the lessons we learned in our exchanges. It is why we negotiated with Bird e-bikes and scooters to provide flexible short hop journeys. We sought and received state grant funding to study, conceive, conceptualize, design, and build bike trails, including the upcoming College Creek Connector, the Wee, and along Bay Ridge Avenue. We also introduced Go Time, and then on-demand transit, 2 10-minute electric trolleys for downtown and Eastport, 2 new 100% electric 22-seater buses to replace our aging diesel vehicles. While working on expanding transit options, we did not forget the basics. But before I go on to the basics, I didn't give Marcus a round of applause. Where are you, Marcus? We love you, Marcus. We doubled the number of miles of roads resurfaced from the previous administration. And we didn't just double or triple funding for road maintenance, we increased it sixfold. We have fully repaved 23 miles of Annapolis roadways in addition to regular maintenance and repairs, including 13,000 potholes filled. We're also on track to replace 24,000 feet of water mains and replace and reline 14 miles of sewer mains. Here, I want to shout out to our Director of Public Works, Burr Vogel, who stayed laser focused on essential services while making big progress on critical infrastructure projects. Thank you, Burr Vogel. That's my second cup of water. But we aren't the only game in town focusing on infrastructure. We also supported CRAB, the accessible boating facility on Edgewood Road, in a project open space collaboration for their new facility on Bimby Beach Road. We are working with Preservation Maryland on historic Burtis House at City Dock, which will become activated by the construction of the new Maritime Welcome Centre, our Harbour Master headquarters on the water's edge. The Cal Ripken Jr. Foundation funded 2 new STEAM initiatives, one at Pip Moyer and one at Stanton Centre, and we worked with Hacker to rebuild Newtown 20 into Wilbourn Estates. All these projects are dreams realised for this city and for many of our neighbours. None of this would have been possible without the hard work and service of staff from all across the city, and I'm very proud, I'm very grateful to the dedicated men and women who work hard for our residents every day. I thank Assistant City Manager Vicky Buckland and HR Manager Trish Hopkins for their work on the class and comp study, ensuring Annapolis remains competitive and an employer of choice for years to come. One example that exemplifies this service is Remy Sonneville. All right, he is an inspector in DPW. Here is what the Scudder family in Eastport wrote about him. We are new residents and wanted to send a compliment to Remy. We have been in an endless renovation of our 81-year-old house, and since we met Remy, he has helped us with any situation pertaining to repairs. He follows through with all commitments and is a true asset to our city. Separately, the Bowen family wrote in to say, I wanted to let you know about a wonderful encounter I had today with Remy. He willingly and easily engages with the public, informs us of upcoming paving schedules, and has kept me and my neighbours well informed. In a time when most are quick to complain, I want you to know that Remy is a model employee for the city and has an obvious passion and dedicated commitment to the work he does. Remy's here tonight, and I just want to give you a big round of applause. You want to stand up? In the area of environmental sustainability and climate change, this council has an unparalleled record. We have passed legislation on styrofoam, leaf blowers, plastic bags. We have worked with Anne Arundel County to establish no discharge zones, which goes towards our goal of making Annapolis's waterways swimmable and fishable. We established the position of Deputy City Manager for Resilience and Sustainability to maintain a focus on the environment, on environmental initiatives across the city and in all departments. That could include everything from electrifying our city fleet, which I spoke about earlier, but also helping low-income residents get reusable grocery bags and ensuring we have good distribution of each EV chargers in all wards of the city. Thank you, Jackie. We have set ambitious goals for stormwater capture to limit runoff and set up the Watershed Restoration Grant program to fund stream and wetland restoration, bioretention cells, rain gardens, and living shorelines. With the public's help, we're expanding our tree canopy to 50% by 2050. Better than that if Rob gets his way, so I'm with Rob. We partnered with groups like Save Our Trees to rid public spaces of invasives and worked alongside gardening and environmental groups to beautify parks and native species, identify stormwater remediation projects on both public and private land. We established a Waterways Cabinet and worked to enhance public water access at locations, including Wells Cove, Hawkins Cove, Tucker Street, Cheston Avenue, College Creek, Robert Eads Park, Gateway Park, and Cars, Elktonia Beach, including the acquisition of the Moore property on the banks of the Chesapeake Bay, increasing the acreage of water-accessible parkland that benefits all citizens of Annapolis. Here I want to acknowledge the leadership and contribution of Alderman Rob Savage on all those efforts. He knows that environmental health is critical to community health and has spearheaded legislation and big ideas to improve outcomes in our community. Thank you, Rob Savage. And lastly, I want to return to the theme I began with: financial transparency and responsibility. When I came into office, the city's budget process was not transparent. Revolving funds accounts without appropriations or accountability were not shown in the annual budget and hid the true cost of running city government. In addition, the budget was not balanced, requiring our team in the first year in office to raise property taxes. We've worked hard to be good stewards of taxpayers' dollars. And as I said earlier, there has only been one property tax rate increase in 8 years. If property assessments have grown, that's a reflection of the increasing value of real property within the city, not because of a change in our tax rate. Property values increase when people want to move here and live here, which tells you something about what a great city we all get to live in. The strong position we find ourselves in is due in no small part to the work of our former city manager, Teresa Sutherland, and our former finance director, Jody Dickinson. They brought modern accounting practices to the city and avoided further property tax hikes, all while meeting both the needs of our residents and the goals of city departments. Now, each expenditure gets a line item. Each capital improvement project includes a forecast of future monies required. This isn't a practice unique to Annapolis, but they didn't exist here until this administration. Jody and our team has also worked with the online hotel booking agencies and short-term rental agencies to ensure they contributed to the hotel tax revenue. That's particularly important when you realize that about 20% of property in Annapolis is not eligible for property taxes. This year, our budget analyst team, Jake Trudeau, Darren Johnson, Capri Turner, and Susan Flaherty, have taken things to a new level again. Under the leadership of Finance Director Brittany Moran, they have ensured all our priorities are funded, savings are identified, and emergencies are planned for. These budget management improvements are largely part of why all three rating agencies upgraded our city bond rating, why we've maintained that improved rating with each successive budget. I also want to thank Alderman Harry Huntley, who stepped in as a Ward 1 representative onto the Finance Committee to become the chair when former Alderwoman Ellie Tyranny relocated to Cape Cod. Just in case you're watching, can everyone wave to Ellie? She might be really bored in Cape Cod. Harry is a quick study, and with Alderman O'Neill and Alderwoman Finlayson at his side on the Finance Committee, we can be confident of being well served as Harry helps guide us through the FY 25-26 budget process. Thank you, Harry. Our transformational agenda over the past 8 years has also been made possible by finding other new sources of revenue. Last year, I highlighted all the grants that we have been able to draw down, including public safety, emergency management, transportation, bike lanes and trails, flood mitigation, and more. Millions of dollars have flowed into the city, allowing us to enhance and improve the quality of life for residents without directly taxing the local taxpayer. Thanks to the partnership of the late great Speaker Mike Bush and the subsequent efforts of Senator Sarah Alfrith and other state partners, we are now granted a pilot funding pegged to inflation. Each year, the pilot stands for a payment in lieu in taxes. These state monies help us offset the costs of public safety services, and we are proud that we doubled that amount when we came into office, and we miss our speaker because it was... So remember, 20% of the property in this city doesn't pay property tax, and the state is one of our biggest partners. And so to increase that amount has been historic. Some of the things that we require to do because we are a state capital, if someone in DNR requires an emergency trip to the hospital, it's the city ambulance that will take them there. We patrol police and respond to emergencies in these locations frequently. And it makes sense for them to chip in a little bit to pay property taxes. All these efforts are underpinned by a forward-thinking legislative agenda driven by the City Council and underpinned by the work of the Law Office. Since late 2017, we have passed 528 bills, and I thank our City Clerk, Regina Watkins Eldridge, and our Legislative Policy Analyst, Cynthia Reuter, and our City Attorney, Mike Laws, and all their teams for their legal and legislative advice and oversight. Thank you. Nearly there. Looking back on our time serving Annapolis and all these achievements, I am so proud of our team and so grateful for all of the work. I've seen up close the commitment of the City Council and the dedication of our managers and our hard work of all our staff who work to serve the community at all hours, all days of the week, in all kinds of circumstances. They show up when people are at their most vulnerable, after a fire, crime, car accident, medical incident, and conduct their work with professionalism, compassion, and care. I want to thank each and every staff member for what they do daily to serve our residents. I'm incredibly privileged to serve alongside you. I also want to thank the residents and businesses who have supported and sometimes criticized what we do, because support helps us keep going and criticism spurs us to improve. I thank the many partners, supporters, friends who have believed in big dreams and believe they are possible, who work tirelessly to support our campaign and our efforts in office. Many of you are here tonight or possibly watching online from afar. Please know how grateful I am. Your support has been critical to the many successes because, as I said at the beginning, nobody achieves anything without help. And at this point, I want to just give a big shout out to Kate Pettit, who has been an amazing, amazing Chief of Staff. And I've learned so much from you, Kate. I'm really lucky to have you. So that's my work wife next to her real husband there. But the most important person in my life, my family, I want to take time to thank most importantly, my wife, Jewel. Just going to have a little drink of water here, sorry. Don, it's been 8 years. Come on. My wife, Jules, and our children, their patience and support over the past 8 years has never failed. No one can serve in political office without this kind of strong personal support. Jules Millie, I love you. Right. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. To conclude this long address, and thank you for those of you who made it the whole way. This journey began 9 years ago with a dream. It was a dream of what our city could be: forward-thinking, strong, and inclusive. A city that is more sustainable, more accessible, and better connected. A city that is family accessible and community-oriented, and where every resident knows they are valued and they have a voice. I believe we have delivered on this transformational agenda in all the ways I've outlined tonight, and many, many more. And we are not done yet. We have a very, very busy 7 months to go, and we will work till the very last minute. I've been honored to be the mayor of this great American capital city and to serve our community alongside so many committed and dedicated people. Thank you for the opportunity you've given me to dream, work, and deliver for the city that I love. Thank you. Now we've got some pretty pictures. This is what is amazing about this country. This is what's amazing about this city. That a guy with a funny accent like this can come into town and then 25 years later be the 137th mayor of Annapolis. I'm looking forward to bringing new ideas to this city with the county executive, with the governor. We all need to work together. So I just want to close with this. When I first came to town, when I first got off that boat with $200 in my pocket, I decided to do a coffee shop. And my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, gave me a little card for encouragement. And that card was an Oscar Wilde quote. It says, "Yes, I am a dreamer, for a dreamer makes his way by moonlight and sees the dawn before the rest of the world." I'm asking you to dream with me and make this one Annapolis. Thank you. Got to give a huge thank you to Julian and the team that did so much work. A lot of stuff to pack in there, and thank you everybody for coming and still being here. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Okay, at this time I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended to remove R1325 City Dock Holiday Market Itinerant Merchant Sales
So moved.
on first reader from tonight's agenda.
Second.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is petitions, reports, and communications, beginning with reports by committee.
Alderman Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Report from the last Environmental Matters Committee meeting, which was on April 10th. We received an update on the pollinator garden that's going to be installed at the solar farm at the old landfill. It's going to be totaling 18 acres, which much larger than I realized. 18 acres of planted areas with pollinator plants. There are going to be 3 different mixes of flowers, and it's going to include an annual maintenance contract. So we're really excited about that. We recommended R225, which was green roofs on bus stops, but we did make a note that this will need to be turned into a budget amendment and CIP project to be fully implemented. And we also discussed the Watershed Restoration Fund, in particular, a preview of the recommended annual increase for the budget. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Public Works, did an excellent job presented to us for the last 2 committee meetings that we've had. So they are working on shifting to a new model that's going to help make it more equitable, but also charge some of those higher tier users with a lot of impervious more money. Let's see. And then the next meeting is going to be May 8th at 3 p.m. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Pendell Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Public Safety Standing Committee met on April the 14th here in council chambers. As far as the police department is concerned, Assistant City Attorney Berger, Chief Jackson, Deputy Chief Branford, Commander of Administration Maguez, new Chief of Patrol Thacker, Internal Affairs Captain Blue, new, and Captain of Operations Howard were present to answering questions from the committee. As to the fire department, Chief O'Malley and Deputy Chief Powell were present to answer questions from the committee. As to the Office of Emergency Management, Director Simmons and Assistant Project Coordinator O.D. Free Gosnell were present and answered questions from the committee. At that time, we also had a moment of silence for Mr. Andre Atkins, who did incredible work in the Harbor House community, who recently passed away. The next meeting of the Public Safety Standing Committee is scheduled for Monday, May the 5th, here in council chambers at 6:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman O'Neill. No. Okay. Alderman Huntley. No. Good.
Yeah, skip me.
Okay. Alderman Shannemeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Economic Matters will be meeting Wednesday the 16th. We have one piece of legislation on the agenda, and that is 03324, the appeals process for property development.
Okay, great. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Alderman Finlayson.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Rules and City Government Committee met on March 7th. We discussed one piece of legislation, 033, a demonstration program to build green roofs on city bus shelters. We gave it a favorable recommendation with an amendment. We heard a report from Mr. Lashinsky on the comprehensive rezoning, and it was extremely informative, and we recommend that others would check out his presentation. We also had a presentation from the Small Maritime Business Work Group. They gave us an update which included recommendations. And so, Mr. Mayor, you can decide how we want to move forward with their recommendations. And the last report came from the Assistant City Manager and our HR Director with rules and regulations as it relates to pay rules. We had lots of questions about the role of the City Council in those procedures. Our next meeting will be held on Friday, May 2nd at 1 o'clock in Council Chambers. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The city attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is comments by the general public.
Okay. We have nobody signed up to speak. Would anybody like to come forward and speak tonight? If you're here on fence permits or expansion of childcare options, there'll be a separate public hearing. But for anything else, please come forward and talk. Yeah.
I don't know if now's the time to talk. I speak on behalf of the Pearl Restaurant and ordinance on outdoor dining. Fast.
Sure. Yep. Great. Yep.
My name is Stephen. There we go. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
I can speak loud enough without this thing, but I'll take the tech. So my name is Stephen Brown. I'm an attorney here in town. Been here, 10, 12 years. Worked for Council Baradell, and then I opened up my shop in West Annapolis there. So we love our community.
And Steve, can you just, for the record, just full name and address?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Stephen Brown. I'm an attorney with MDSW at 706 Giddings Avenue, Suite 305 in Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
Thank you.
I'm here representing the Pearl Restaurant. I have the two owners here, Joy Somm and Mike Pardo. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about was getting the Pearl Restaurant included in the outdoor ordinance, basically as part of the market space exemption. I believe Mr. Somm emailed a proposed amendment in a little bit earlier. I know it's short timing, so I doubt any of you had a chance to look at it. But the idea is that market space there has that unique community-centric elbow that everybody walks in, everybody gets to see the Iron Rooster, the other restaurants that are all in there. We are right there. Yet, under the proposed exemptions for the hours of operation and the dates of the time frame that a permit is permitted, we're excluded. And what I have is one of our leases from last year. I can give you so you can see specifically. There's one for each of you. You'll be able to see that space. We're literally there's nothing extra. I mean, you guys are probably familiar with this space. It is right there. And so what we're asking for is a very simple exemption or amendment to this outdoor ordinance that allows us to be included in that market space elbow exemption. And that's basically for the hours and the length of the permit. I also have a copy of the proposed amendment just so you can see what we would be seeking to try to keep it as simple as humanly possible. And I thank you so much for taking me on the fly. We have operated this for, I believe we've had a lease there for 2-3 years now at this point. Since the pandemic, we've had this space operated there, and we've been operating sort of on a haphazard ad hoc piece outside of the way everybody else gets to. So we're just looking for the ability to be included in this and to extend our good offerings to the community. So with that, I'll take any questions. And just know that I'm doing this on the fly.
It's just we're listening to you, and we'll get back to you through your alderman and figure out. And you do a great job. You did a great job there. I love the cafe that you do a beautiful job there. So let's see what we can do. I think this legislation's coming through tonight, so it'll be something that we'll have to
thank you so much.
Work on. Okay, thank you.
I appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Anybody else? Please come forward. Yeah.
Matt Schatzel. I live in Eastport, 3127 Avenue in the Tecumseh Building. I'm here about the holiday market. It's on the agenda later on tonight. I don't know if now's time to speak or later on.
Yep, you can talk about it. Yep.
So I just wanted to, I'm chairman of the board of the Downtown Partnership. We put that event on. It's our fourth year coming up. It's been a great event for us. First year was got a lot of rain and stuff, so kind of a slow start. But I can give you all the numbers and statistics. The one thing the partnership can do can track all movement across Annapolis at any given time or place. So I'll just give you a few numbers for what the holiday market does in Midnight Madness. So the 4 days of the holiday market on Dock Street, there was 30,000 people, 111,000 in downtown historic Annapolis for those 4 days. Dock Street averages 1.3 million per year and 5.7 million that visit downtown Annapolis during throughout the year. So Midnight Madness itself has grown from 9,000 folks in 2018 to 18,000 folks this year. Does vary by kind of weather and stuff. We had a good year this year. It's been a tremendous event, and the holiday market is another thing we've added to it to just increase kind of traffic down Dock Street. Those businesses, people park there, and we can tell by the placer data that they leave. And ironically, I can tell you they go right to Iron Rooster. It's their first stop. So, and we can figure out where they go when they come and where they go when they leave. So we have great data. We have great science behind the things we do. I know that our friend Harvey had his best night ever at Latitude 38 during the holiday market. I mean, ever. So a lot of folks went there after they cruised by there. They don't go there just the holiday market. They always come from somewhere else, and they go somewhere else in the downtown area, whether it's Maryland Avenue and throughout the historic district. So we can ask any questions. The partnership this year we had $3,500 in cash that was donated to us through the holiday market. $1,500 in decorations was paid for by the folks that put the event on. We also had marketing of $5,600 was done for the holiday market, which also marketed Midnight Madness and other things around the town. So it's a win-win. We'd like to keep it going this year. I know that part of it is the parking, but the parking's free on City Dock. You know, you park for 2 hours and you can't extend that. So you have to move anyway. But so we'd like to keep it going. If the city council decides not to, that's okay too. But it's a great event for us. It benefits us. And I think this year we'll probably net $10,000 on that. The revenue last year, I just did the tax returns today with the Alta, $190,000 is our revenue. So it's not huge compared to Inner West Street and some other areas, but an event like this makes a big difference. And I think it drives a lot of traffic. It fits in with tree lighting and the Santa arrival and all that good stuff. It's great for families. They're really popular around the country, holiday markets are. So take any questions?
I'm doing not questions, but
Yeah.
but I would recommend that the council speak to Matt about the analytics that he has. So they track cell phone data. It was fascinating what you told me the other day about the volume of people that are coming and where they're traveling to from the market. So I would like you to get hold of the council individually.
I'd love to talk to anybody about this event and others. We can see where someone goes to your shop and they go to which shop next or what restaurant next, and we can provide that information to all the owners of the businesses or the managers. So it's great place for information. It's used by most cities and towns. Police department, we're sharing that data with them as well for them to use the system to track different things as well.
Thank you. On Machanamaya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This isn't a direct question, but I'd love if you got an opportunity to connect with me offline. We'd love to have you at the Economic Matters meeting whenever we have time. Just this data is always fascinating to us as a committee. So
This is a 16-page report. It's fascinating. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
Oh, so yeah, we'll get a copy for everyone there. But he should talk you through it. It was fascinating. Yeah.
Oh, we pay for that service.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anybody else like to come forward and speak? Okay, I declare the public hearing closed. And as soon as Mr. City Attorney gets over here, we'll...
Sorry, sir. The next item on the agenda is consent calendar.
Could I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley,
Aye.
Alderman Huntley,
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill. Aye. Alderwoman Pendel Charles.
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson.
Aye.
Alderman Schneider.
Aye.
Alderman Savage.
Aye.
Alderman Arnett.
Aye.
Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is public hearings, beginning with ordinance 03024, fence permit requirements related to use and development standards in the city zoning code, Title 21.
Anybody like to come forward and speak on this interesting subject? Okay. Alderman O'Neill.
I don't want to speak on it, but I do want to say that just for the record, we have received about 8 online testimonies to this particular. While there doesn't be anybody here tonight to talk about it, I have quite a bit of comment.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I declare the public hearing closed on 030-24. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda for public hearing is 0125, expansion of child care options in Annapolis.
Nobody signed up for this?
Yeah.
Hi there, how you doing? Please say your full name and address.
Yes, I'm Janet Norman. I live at Harbor Road in Annapolis, and I am the at-large member of the Annapolis Education Commission and former chair. Been on there for about 12 years or so. We will be submitting formal comments in writing to you in support of this new revised legislation. But I just wanted to come down and say thank you, and please keep going in looking at legislation such as this that makes it easier for businesses to support workers in Annapolis. The Education Commission had Alderman Schneider come and talk to us at our commission meeting, and we really delved into the nitty-gritty of the legislation and how that would help the citizens of Annapolis. So I'm here to tell you we passed a motion that said the Annapolis Education Commission supports the review and revision of city childcare regulations under code to improve access to safe, quality childcare. So thank you for doing these efforts that really make a difference. You're not only expanding childcare, what you're doing is you're allowing people in Annapolis to then use their talents to help the city in other ways. So I had home childcare from a wonderful provider. And then I was able to work on the Naval Academy's Natural Resources Management Plan for Greenberry Point and the Naval Academy. So it's really beneficial for the whole city to reduce regulations that make things more difficult to happen in the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janet. Anybody else like to come forward? If not, I declare the hearing on O-1-25 closed. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is legislative action, beginning with first readers. Ordinance 0925, expanding waterfront uses in R4 general residence zoning districts.
Is there a motion to adopt O-9-25 on first reader?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Let's refer O-9-25 to the Planning Commission, Maritime Advisory Board, Rules and City Government Committee. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is for first readers is O-1025, annual budget and appropriation and property tax levy.
Is there a motion to adopt O-10-25 on first reader?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Let's refer O-10-25 to the Planning Commission, the Finance Committee, and the Financial Advisory Commission. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda for first reader is resolutions. R1225, street and park on Annapolis Street.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt R-12-25 on first reader?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Let's refer R-12-25 to the Finance Committee. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda for first readers under resolutions is R-1725, 2025 Transit Development Plan for the City of Annapolis.
Is there a motion to adopt R-17-25 on first reader?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Let's refer that to a public hearing and the Transportation Committee. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is R-1925, Memorial honoring the life and legacy of the late U.S. Representative Perrin J. Mitchell.
So move. Second.
Okay. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is R-2025, FY 2026 Annual Fees Schedule.
Is there a motion to adopt R-20-25 on first reader?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Let's refer that to the Finance Committee and the Financial Advisory Commission. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is R-2125, FY 2026 Fines Schedule.
Do a motion to adopt R-21-25 on first reader.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll refer R-20-25 to the Finance Committee and the Financial Advisory Commission. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is R-2325, Emergency Management and Public Safety during Flood Awareness Month.
Do a motion to adopt R-23-25 on first reader.
Mr. Mayor, I'd actually like to move that we suspend the rules and fully pass this on first reader in the spirit of recognizing that flooding is urgent and we don't want to wait until after the month ends to pass this resolution in recognition of Flood Awareness Month.
Let's motion.
on first reader first.
Yep. Okay. So let's go and do that. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Alderman Huntley?
I'd like to motion that we suspend the rules and fully pass resolution 2325 tonight.
Second. All right.
Right. It needs to be unanimous. We need a roll call or no? All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. Who would like to move it on second?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley.
Aye.
Alderman Huntley.
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Aye.
Alderman Pendle Charles.
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson.
Aye.
Alderman Shanamai.
Aye.
Alderman Gay.
Aye.
Alderman Savage.
Aye.
Alderman Arnett.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Shandemeyer.
Thank you, Alderman
Can I be
Huntley.
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 No beard. Beard.
Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is legislative actions on second reader, beginning with Ordinance 0525, Speed Monitoring Cameras.
Mr. Mayor, can also have quickly R-1725 referred to Housing and Human Welfare.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. R-1725.
Okay, can I get a motion on 0525?
So move.
Second.
You on the floor. Alderman Savage has an amendment.
I'd like to move Amendment 1.
Second.
Thank you.
Do you need an explanation? The amendment just ensures the money goes towards pedestrian safety improvements via the Sustainable Mobility Services Fund.
Like it. Thank you. Alderman Chandlemeyer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was originally part of the idea when we were first discussing the legislation. We were a little unsure when we were drafting it, so we just introduced it without it. But as we got more clarification, we learned that we could do this. So I'm very happy with this amendment, and I encourage my colleagues to support it.
Thank you. Alderman Gay?
I have a question, maybe for staff or for the city attorney that's worked on this. Are there rules or requirements maybe placed on or maybe even the transportation chair, how many speed cameras you can have within a certain radius, impacts that it has on individual communities. I mean, or is the plan to just flood the streets? I'm curious if there are. This is a precursor to obviously us, putting them on the streets. I'm curious if that's been thought out.
Marcus is here from Transportation, but Alderman O'Neill?
What I know about it, from what we discussed at Finance Committee meeting, was that formerly it was not allowed to have speed cameras in any other streets except for directly access to schools. So this legislation follows the state legislation in allowing us to look at other spaces. I believe that Captain Miguez said it was about $100,000 per camera. But I can look back through my notes. I believe there's a cost to per camera, and there would be definitely a study done on the street to see if it would make sense for the camera to go there. But I want to request a study done on Clay Street to see if we can put a camera there.
My second question, I'm curious, and this, I apologize for not being able to attend transportation if this has already been discussed. Are most city streets a 35 mile per hour maximum? I don't, and this, it says that the law permits speed monitoring systems in residential areas with a maximum posted speed. And I'm thinking, like, would that trigger significant amount of residential areas in the city?
Pretty much all of them.
That with a max speed of
I mean,
35 is the question.
Transportation Committee can answer that. Would you?
Yeah, in Transportation, March 12th, when Amy Miguez was before our Transportation Committee, she said it was a very deliberate process deciding where a speed camera would go. That most neighborhoods currently have 35 miles an hour or less.
Mm-hmm.
A speed camera, as of today, there were 5 in the city. And that the biggest hurdle currently for our police department for speed cameras is that every citation must be reviewed for accuracy by a uniformed officer. And that that's probably the biggest hurdle that they'll have to overcome, because that's taking a uniformed officer off the street in order to review the cameras. So there might be accompanying legislation coming soon to see if the state would allow an ununiformed officer to be reviewing, and what kind of legal.
And just clarify that again for myself and the general public.
Would I tack on? You mind if I add one brief piece of information? What Alderman O'Neill said, just about that legislation at the state level you're describing. I know that did get brought forward this year. I'm not sure if it ended up getting passed. The Maryland Municipal League made it one of their top priorities. So hopefully it will sooner or later.
But I just wanted clarity for myself and the general. I mean, I'm going to support and vote on this. I think that one thing that would be helpful if GIS prepared, mapping just to give us perspective of where in our wards we could put these at. But to the point that you just made, so a uniformed officer has to view every. So is this something that maybe would go in tandem with the the people that review body cam footage? This maybe could be an extension of their job. Who would monitor it is my question.
Right now it's a uniformed officer. And Captain Miguez's suggestion was to contact our state representatives to see if there was a possibility to write legislation that would loosen that restriction to make it a staff.
Okay. Alderman Annette has his hand up highest.
Thank you.
Everyone had their hand up, but you had your hand up.
Well, I've had it up for a long time, too. I applaud doing a study. I question whether you have to have a uniform officer. Many municipalities subscribe to a service that runs the cameras and the radar, bills for it, takes a percentage of it, and you can just go to DC and see the number of cameras that are there. I know. And also to Damascus. because they quickly move from 45 to 25 miles an hour, and if you don't slam on the brakes, you will get a ticket. But it's done by a company that Montgomery County hired. So I think there's a lot of different ways to do this. And that's why I think you're right. We should have some study to figure out all the options.
Alderman Savage.
Yeah, I think we do need to push the state, because I can't remember if it was an officer to review or just to issue the citations, but a sworn officer had to be involved, which seems a little excessive. But let's try to get that changed. The other thing, as far as putting these on roads that have speed limits under 35 or 30, they are allowed, but you have to do some kind of traffic assessment. But since we have a traffic engineer, that really shouldn't be much of a problem. And then I do think we should circle up at some point with, I don't know, maybe a work session or at some point just to talk about roads we want to prioritize. I'm sure we all have ones at the top of our mind that we may want to, that we hear a lot of complaints about or have a lot of accidents on, but we'll have to figure out some kind of methodology for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? City Attorney, please present the next item.
We passed the amendment. Now we've got to pass the ordinance.
Oh, as amended?
Yes.
Can I get them? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call. Yeah. Good. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Can I get a motion on third reader?
So moved.
Second.
Madam City Clerk?
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley,
Aye.
Alderman Huntley,
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill,
Aye.
Alderman Kendall Charles,
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson,
Aye.
Alderman Shannon Meyer,
Aye.
Alderman Gay,
Aye.
Alderman Savage,
Aye.
Alderman Arnett.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is O1024, outdoor dining requirements in Annapolis.
Right, can I get a motion on O-10-24?
So moved.
Second.
A second, thank you. Motion is on the floor. We've got a bunch of amendments that start with Alderman Arnett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an amendment basically to clean up the language. It has three parts to it. The first part refers to another part of the code regarding street cafes as defined in Title 7 35020. The second one is describing the location of the outdoor dining, and the change is to adjacent areas, including but not limited to private sidewalk and other suitable areas. And the third part of the amendment, put the page here. If the outdoor dining permit is not used for 30 days, gives the city manager, I believe, in order to remove the license.
Okay. All right. We're going to go on these individually. All those in favour of amendment number 1, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Amendment number 2, Alderman Savage.
I'd like to move Amendment 2.
Second.
Thank you.
And just as explanation, thanks to the Office of Law, we have a new process. So you may see a bunch of alternate amendment 2s and 3s, and it's kind of been combined into one motion that we can have a discussion about. So we'll see how this goes. But for Amendment 2, this comes from Planning Commission recommendations. I was trying to implement 2 of the recommendations. Just states that special exception approvals do not require annual renewal as long as applicant continues to comply with regulations. It also removes duplication in some of the noise requirements.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Amendment number 2A, Alderman Huntley.
What? 3.
That's how it's written down here.
So we did have Amendment 2A, which was really meant to, I think we were just trying to break up a couple different ones to make this a little bit simpler. I might turn to our legislative and policy analyst. Amendment 2A is no longer necessary, correct? Yeah, okay. So
Thank
keep
you.
moving.
Amendment number 3, Alderman O'Neill.
Thank you. Amendment number 3, the summary is allows restaurants to have outdoor dining for up to 9 months a year instead of up to 6 months.
Okay. Question, Alderman Pendell Charles, then Alderman
Yes.
Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a friendly amendment. On page 7, strike 27, insert the following 3, 6, or 9 months between the start of February 1st and the end of November 31st. Should be November the 30th.
A point.
Can you second the
Accept
amendment
as
and then we'll let you?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
What's the verdict on the amendment?
Oh.
I'll accept that.
Thank you.
Moving the friendly amendment. Yes.
What was it?
Since there is no such
Mr.
thing as
Mayor.
November
Yep,
31st.
I'm coming to you.
Well, there's a bit
Alderman
of a
Savage?
point of order here because
Yeah.
I think since there are alternates, law office is proposing that we make a motion to divide the question so that we can actually talk about the alternative proposals. I don't know if the office of law wants to explain that any further, how it works.
But we
Because
didn't.
there's an O'Neill version and a Savage version, and then later on there is a Huntley Finance Committee version.
All for the same.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Cynthia Reuter, Office of Law Policy Analyst. Amendment 3, the O'Neill Amendment, has several different parts to it. And one part deals with the months that outdoor dining is allowed. Another section deals with how long the permit can be. And so to simplify, and then there were several versions of each category. So to simplify it, I'm recommended that that on the O'Neill Amendment number 3, that the question be divided, and it'd be divided into 2 parts based on the 2 different categories. The first part would deal with the number of months that the permit would be, and then the second part would be the actual number of months that outdoor dining can take place. Does that make sense?
Can I try to explain that a little
Alderman
more?
Savage.
So if you look at on motion 2 on the sheet, you have O'Neill and Savage. I think those are the first 2 questions we need to address. So the first group deals with, they all deal with the date. And so I think it'd be good to discuss both the O'Neill and the Savage at the same time, and then we can figure out, vote on them in turn. But I think since they're related, it's helpful to have a discussion on both. So, because I want to just point out the Savage motion, what I'm trying to do is move away from simply having to list 3, 6, 9 months, or even list the dates, and just say, if you'll see that the permits could be issued for any period longer than, no permit can be issued for any period longer than 9 months. So basically it just says up to 9 months in any year. So it doesn't matter if it's certain months or for a certain period. We said they can do any combination as long as it's no more than 9 months. I think that kind of meets the intention of what everybody's trying to do.
Alderman O'Neill.
It does, except for the original reason why we were limiting it to a certain number of months was to give residents a quote unquote break. So that's why initially we were taking it away January or December, January, February, so that there would be a break in residents not having outdoor dining. So that was the initial question from the very beginning from residents saying they wanted the break, which is why we were trying to outline it could be up to 9 months within that time frame.
Okay, I thought there was some comment, maybe at committee or elsewhere, about people wanting to do it during the breaks, during the winter break, and so I think that's why there's an effort to remove the dates entirely.
I'd be supportive of that because bonfires are great.
What?
I said bonfires are great. Alderman Gay?
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. So just to break it down, the only difference between these, or major difference between the two amendments being proposed, is that one would allow for 3 to 6 months during warmer months. The other would allow for you to split up your 3 to 6 month application for maybe if you wanted to do like July, August, September, and then December, January, February, or something like that.
No.
Okay, and so should we just call the question, or?
No, there's a lot of hands. I think. I don't even know what I'm actually voting on. So Alderman Chandelmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the primary difference between 3 and 3A comes down to the starting point and the ending point. The starting point of 3 is February 1st, beginning of February, and the ending point of 3 is November 30th, end of November. The starting point of 3A is January 1st, and ending point of 3A is December 31st. So it just 3 excludes January and excludes December. 3A allows January and allows December. They're the same other than that. So it's essentially, if you support 3 or 3A, comes down to, do you think they should have the option to do this in January and December? I personally support 3A. Some of my colleagues may have another opinion, and that's fine, but that's where it's going to come down to. Where do you vote on that?
Thanks for explaining that. Thank you. Alderman Arnett.
I actually have a technical question because we go over to the second page. We have the Huntley Amendment, which is all year long. But how do we vote on it? Are we going to say all those in favor of 3 say aye, all those in favor of 3A say aye? I'm trying to figure it out.
I mean, I feel we'll see what passes. So, but we'll go down the list, do 3, and I can get a sense that there's support for more flexibility here. Okay. Alderman Finlayson, did you have your hand up? Someone was pointing to the screen. I'm sorry.
We can't hear you.
Muted.
Sorry, my question was about the process and how we're going to vote since the O'Neill and Savage amendments are all under Amendment 3. But you're going to take each one individually? So there are 5 different amendments? Is that what I'm reading?
I mean, what I'm feeling now is that we should vote on the O'Neill amendment, and if that passes or not passes, and it has a second, yeah. So we will have to vote on that, and if it gets voted down, then we'll move on to the next amendment. Okay.
So could you be clear on which O'Neill amendment you're referring to first?
You want to repeat it, please, Alderman O'Neill? Or summarize it? Sorry.
Sure. So my amendment is it should be valid for up to 9 months between February 1st and November 30th.
Thank you. Alderman Pendle Charles.
Yes. Question, and I'm going to assume, but tell me if I'm wrong. This piece of legislation impacts Wards 2 and Ward 8 mainly or not? I'm just,
Actually,
that's not
if
a
I
good
could-
question.
Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to get a handle on, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's getting the most attention in Ward 8, I'd say. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. Alderman Savage.
Well, I just personally, I'm not going to support the 3A. I like the finance one better, and I'm going to try to amend that with a friendly amendment. But because I really do think providing a break in the winter doesn't make much sense to me, since most people are not outside anyway to be impacted by any kind of outdoor dining. So I don't think it's going to provide much of a break per se. And I do like the idea of having more fire pit heating outside. So I really would rather not have a limitation on time of year.
Is it appropriate if I withdraw my amendment for 3B in consideration of?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Withdraw it for 3. It's on the floor. Yeah. So
Sorry.
I think we could vote it down and then we just move to the next one. Yeah?
Motion 1. So we're not doing the motion 1, motion 2.
No, we didn't actually split it. Yeah.
3.
Yeah. Okay, I think we should take a vote on it. All those in favour of the O'Neill amendment, and it's for a fixed 9 months of the year.
No.
369. Sorry. Okay. Say aye.
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 Okay. All those opposed, say nay.
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 Nah.
I think the noes have it. Alderman, next is the Alderman 3A, Alderman Huntley.
No.
Just like we didn't do 3A before.
Okay. I feel like we didn't officially split it, did we? Did we?
You're right.
Yeah.
Point of order.
Yeah.
We didn't actually make
We didn't
the
make
motion
a-
to divide the question wasn't accepted,
Yeah.
and the mayor just decided to use the ones that were posted, 3A and 3B.
Did we get a vote on motion 1? I don't think we even brought it
No,
up
we
for
didn't.
vote.
We just
the mayor
voted on the whole
the mayor
amendment
just
3.
moved as listed in the system. Which is
So
we were trying
now,
something new. I think it's
now we can move 3A because it still gets us to the place we want to get to, right? So could you move 3A, please?
Well,
Motion to move 3A.
No?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, you want
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to call for a point of order and a request that the tenured and very well-educated city clerk get us out of this mess, please. Thank you.
Okay, when we
Madam City Clerk? Yep.
when we started this amendment process, what you have listed in your script was what I was told the amendments were. This separation of all this stuff put together, I'm not even sure how we separate this out to vote on this, because the top of it is titled Amendment number 2 or number 3, O'Neill. And then it has a lot of text on it with different motions. It's hard to decipher what's going on with this version of these amendments.
And I don't think we officially split it. It didn't
No,
get a
we
second.
did not.
Yeah.
So when you defeated Alderwoman O'Neill's Amendment 3, you defeated it. It's gone.
So,
So Alderman Huntley, you don't want to move 3A?
so
do.
what I would like to do
Yes.
is to have a motion to reconsider Amendment 3, which I can do because I just was in the winning side of voting it down. And then I'd like Ms. Reuter to come up and explain the very thoughtful process she put together for us here so that we can have a clear discussion on this. That is my motion on the table. Because Amendment 3A is no longer valid. We agreed to change it in favor of what's on the paper here. So on the table is a motion to reconsider, if someone will second.
And will that get us to the place that you want to get?
That would get us, that would undo what we just did, so then we can go through the process correctly.
Okay, it has a motion and a second. It's on the floor.
Mr. Mayor, let me just say, we're not reconsidering 3A. We never voted
Right.
on 3A. We
Right.
voted on
Three.
Three. That's what I said. Yeah,
You
three.
said 3A.
Did I?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So,
So
that's
you
why
have
we're
a
little bit
motion
confused.
and a second to reconsider 3.
Yes.
And then we need to do some work on it. Alderman Savage had his hand up first.
No, I think that's the improper procedure because all we have to do now is just make a motion to adopt 3A from Finance Committee, which incorporates Amendment 3.
What does
I-
the language say in 3A?
Motion.
Let me
3A,
pull it up. Because I'm
I don't have one.
here.
I believe 3A includes 3. So we can just move.
I'd like to withdraw the ordinance.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Huntley.
the distinction between Amendment 3A and what you have and the motions that Ms. Reuter prepared for us that are on the paper before you is that it would not 3A does not incorporate the Savage suggestion of essentially saying up to 9 months instead of 3, 6, or 9 months. That's why I don't want to move 3A. I want to move the consolidated amendments that were put together for us.
Yeah.
May I suggest that whoever is moving a new 3, just restate the whole thing on the record.
Because I think we all want to get to the same place here. So
Just-
why don't
just
you
re- just need
move?
somebody who's going to move and restate whatever you want 3 to be, restate it from beginning to end.
And is that going to be considered 3?
That would be considered 3 if you pass the motion to reconsider 3.
Okay. We got a
Because now
motion.
if you pass the motion to reconsider 3, now you're bringing 3 on again, but it's a new verbiage.
That sounds like a good solution there. Alderman Schneidermeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're also overcomplicating it when we go up to 9 months and trying to adjust the language on the fly because there's nothing making the restaurants, if they choose to go more than 6 but less than 9, do that full 9. They could go 7 or 8 if they so choose to with 0 penalty. We're not doing anything to slap them for that. We're just giving them these different options. So the easiest, clearest thing to do is just do 3A.
Well,
But
no,
it's-
I
but we
think
don't
we're
know
gonna we got a motion to consider on 3. We're gonna vote on that, and then we're gonna state exactly what we're voting on here because we do all want to get to the same place, I believe, right? Thank you, Alderman Gay.
Thank you. And so we're on 3, and the floor is open for discussion on that quickly.
We haven't voted yet, so let's get it voted
Okay,
on.
all right.
Yeah. Any other questions? All those in favor of the motion to reconsider 3, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, the floor is yours, Alderman Huntley, and you can state exactly what we need, which I'm sure we'll agree on, which is
So I suggest that now that we are on Amendment 3, that we follow the procedure.
No.
No.
Everything is confused.
Yeah.
We've got 4 different written things, and we want to try to extricate ourselves from the confusion. What we need from you is to move whatever the language is for 3, say what you want, and we will write it down and we will repeat it into the record.
Okay. I will state the language. Under permit duration, and I believe this occurs in 2 places. It occurs on. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't have the 2 places. The 2 places that are labeled permit duration, beginning permit duration, says the seasonal parking lot dining permit shall be valid for. Strike the words either 3 months or 6 months between April 15th and November 1st each year, and replace that with up to 9 months from January 1 to December 31, and the months do not need to be continuous, but need to be specified. That applies to both this. So that's happening twice. One is for the seasonal parking lot dining permit, and the other is for a street cafe permit.
Just point of
Thank you.
order on this.
Yeah, Alderman Savage and Alderman
Well,
Gay.
it's just
Sorry.
a quick point of order because we need to as accompany that. It's page 7, striking lines 27.
26. And which
You're correct. So page 7, striking lines 26, 27, and then page 11 after part 1. I'm sorry, I don't have the line number on this.
Are you following this, Alderman Huntley? No.
I think,
No.
are you talking about page 11 of the first reader ordinance? And you're talking about line 24 and 25, which is a street cat, which in the underlying ordinance says permit duration, street cafe permit shall be valid, ... I think I already covered that. No?
Yeah, it's page 11,
You just
line
need to
24 and
state the
25.
page and line.
Yes. Okay. So to be clear, there are page permit duration. So page 7, line 26. No, line 20. Is it 26 or 27? Sorry.
26.
No. So starting on line 27 of page 7, strike the phrase either 3 months or 6 months between April 15th and November 1 each year. Replace that with up to 9 months from January 1 to December 31, and the months do not need to be continuous, but need to be specified. In the underlying legislation, also on page 11, beginning line 24, strike either 3 months or 6 months between April 15th and November 1 each year, and replace that with up to 9 months from January 1 to December 31, and the months do not need to be continuous, but need to be specified.
Some heads nodding.
Second.
Looks good. Alderman Gay, did you still have a question?
Thank you. My question, when you say specify, are they, when they fill out the application to turn it into planning and zoning, do they just say, all right, cool, these are the months that we're going to do this?
Correct. The idea when we had the finance committee hearing was that the finance department would want to, the planning and zoning department would want to know what they are on the application.
So my question again, and it's too late because the amendment is here, and I mentioned this several times before, where I think we get overly invested in the business of our businesses. Why do we care? Why are we putting this in legislation? Let this be simple policy and let planning have it on the application. What months are you doing this? This is just, I think when we over legislate everything, and I've said it several times before, especially when it comes to outdoor dining, New York, Baltimore, DC, Charlotte, Atlanta, every city in the country has figured out outdoor dining except for Annapolis. And so it's disappointing. I appreciate your effort on this amendment, though, because it just makes it very simple. It's 12 months in the year. Just let the businesses do what they want. If people want to sit outside and eat in an igloo, let them do it. If the business can make money so they can pay their taxes. I get the noise complaints, but that's why we should just be putting in the requirements for barriers, just like every other city does, noise, setbacks and all of that stuff, which we are addressing here. But I hope that with the rest of these amendments, we could get through. I do very much remember my colleagues that have been on the council the longest have told me, if a bill has more than 4 amendments, you shouldn't bring it to the floor. So thank you.
Thank you. We're this close. Dick Franyo was 21 when we started this.
had golden hair.
Okay, I think we've got it.
Just a point of
Alderman
order.
Annette.
This is an amendment to Amendment 3, and it also supplants.
It's a fully stated Amendment 3.
It's a new Amendment 3. So it's neither the Amendment 3 we're seeing nor the Amendment 3A we're seeing. This is a new, entirely new And the thrust of it is two different parts in the code, page 7 and page 11. Page 11 having to do with sidewalk. And the elements are that you cannot have more than 9 months of outdoor dining. You don't have to specify. You do have to specify when you apply, but you can't have more than 9 months, but you can have them anytime during the year.
Right. Okay, all those in favour say aye of amendment number 3. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Now we have a number 4, a Neal amendment.
Amendment number 4 stipulates that outdoor dining is from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. There are exceptions that are noted. Sorry. So outdoor dining hours shall be restricted to 7 to 11 for the following areas: street and sidewalks next to Annapolis Market House, 25 Market Space, Pinckney Street, Dock Street from Market House. And another exception would be upon approval of the required special exemption that all other areas besides those can operate until 10:30 on Friday and Saturday, as well as Sundays that are holiday Sundays, New Year's Day, Martin Luther King, President's Day, Maryland Day, Easter, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, Independence Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. So Friday night and Saturday night until 10:30 in every other place except for Market Plaza, 25 Market Space, Dock Street from Market Space.
All right, any questions?
Second.
I think Alderman Savage, did you?
Yeah, just a comment. I don't think I'm going to support this. I appreciate that it's limited to Fridays, Saturdays, and holiday Sundays, but I'm still wary about pushing it beyond 10. I think the amendment pushes it to
10:30.
Yeah, 10:30.
When most of those restaurants inside are open until midnight.
Yeah.
Alderman Gay?
I'm just curious if the sponsor would extend it to at least 11. I'm serious in that we have these fantastic holiday forums and events on the streets. For example, the winter one that goes on until midnight. You've got, so many festivals. The 4th of July is another late holiday event in the city. I mean, if 10:30 is fine, it's fine. But I'm curious if you put any thought into just extending that.
Initially, I was going to do 11, and feedback from residents said, give us a break. Those that are most closely residents to some of the restaurants have asked for a break, and 10:30 would allow the restaurants to have a late seating. One restaurant that I spoke with gave me an analysis of how many people are outside dining at that point in time, and it's not a make or break for the restaurant.
Mm-hmm. And could you? I mean, technically, you could be seated at 10:29, and I could sit there until 11:30, similar to how a restaurant operates. If they the kitchen closes at 11, if you get there beforehand, you can stay until the restaurant closes as long as you order buffet.
They would put you inside at 10:30. At 10:29, they would have you seated inside,
So
not outside.
I'm in the middle of a meal, enjoying the ambiance.
You're not in the middle of a meal. If you said you got there at 10:30 or 10:29,
fine. I get there at 10. I'm in the middle of a meal, enjoying the ambience of the downtown, and because of this because of this amendment, they would walk over to me and request that I pick up my whatever I'm eating or my drink and go inside. And
Alderman Annette, then Alderman Huntley.
I would remind the alderman, you're also in the middle of a neighborhood in a lot of areas of the city. And we're trying to come up with a balance where we consider the diners, the restaurants, and the neighbors. And there are several wards, at least 3. I don't know if Alderwoman Pendle Charles realizes that according to the city, you have 14 restaurants. More than Ward 2, slightly less than Ward 8. But these are restaurants that are in the middle of a neighborhood. We're trying to come up with a balance. And I think that it is perfectly fair if somebody gets there late, say, go inside, air conditioned. If they get there sort of a little bit earlier and they didn't finish their meal or their drink, go inside and finish it. I think that is an accommodation to the nearby neighbor. And it's one that several of the restaurants have agreed to, and I certainly strongly support this proposed amendment as written.
Alderman Huntley.
Alderman Guy, I share many of your sentiments, but I just want to make sure we're clear. I believe, and Alderwoman O'Neill will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this amendment moves in the direction of what you're saying. It makes things more permissive, not less. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So if we want to decrease the restrictions on our businesses, then we should vote for this amendment.
All right. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed?
I'll abstain.
I thought we'd have it. Okay. Amendment number 5. Alderman
you.
Huntley.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I have dubbed this the "Let Me Nurse My Beer" amendment.
Okay. We need a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
You said beer,
Yes.
and Brooks
dubbed this-
said second.
the "Let Me Nurse My Beer" amendment. It does 2 things, and the name is really for the first part. Any bar you go to, any restaurant you go to, they have a last call, and they have to cease selling and serving. They don't tell you last call is also when you have to stop and when you have to finish your drink. Nobody takes your drink out of your hand at last call. So what this does is strike the or allow consumption. So essentially 30 minutes before the establishment's permitted closing time, they are in the underlying legislation required to stop selling, serving, and allowing consumption of alcohol. What my amendment would do is change that to just 30 minutes before you have to stop selling and serving. So that is part 1 of it. Part 2, and you'll note that what you have before you is slightly different than what you may have in the agenda. Changes it so that in the underlying ordinance, cafe seating has to be removed 30 minutes before the operating establishment's permitted closing time. My amendment would change that to at the permitted closing time. So essentially saying that you don't have to 45 minutes before closing time go out, kick everybody out, and put away the furniture. But all of the furniture would still have to be put away by the time that we've all agreed the place will close. So no noise after they close. That's it.
Aye.
Okay.
I jump rope.
All right. So we've got a first and a second. Looks like we're all in favour. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
Okay. We have a number 6, Alderman Savage amendment.
I'd like to move Amendment 6.
Second.
Thank you.
So this just establishes that the fees will be based on how many months they utilize outdoor dining, and that they'll be collected annually. But the fees will actually have to be set in the fee resolution.
Have you set the fee?
No, I think we might be postponing on second reader because we have to get the fee resolution still. But that's the next question.
I second this amendment.
And can you explain that? Say that one.
It just establishes that the fee is going to be assessed based on how many months that they have outdoor dining, and it's assessed once a year.
Okay. Thank you. Alderman Gay?
Thank you so much. My question to the sponsor, I'm assuming you'll be sponsoring the fee for the budget as well. Would the fee be based off, for example, if I use if I have a restaurant on Main Street and I use the lot in front of Main Street for the 9-month duration, would they take the cost of daily parking and just multiply that times the 9 months, or are you setting a fee separate from the parking fees?
Alderman Savage?
So yeah, it'll be a fee based on each per parking space that's repurposed for outdoor dining. So I don't know what it's going to be. We have to get a proposal from planning and zoning, but just off the top of my head, I don't know, $50, whatever it is, $500, $1,000, whatever it is per spot. So, if they have 10 and they want to use 5, then that's what we'll base it off of. Because the fee per legislation is going to go into this sustainable services fund that we use to help improve pedestrian, to give people that alternative to having to rely on parking spaces.
Just one more quick. Are the restaurants prohibited to a maximum number of slots that you can get? I mean, so if I share Main Street and the restaurant to my left wants 3 slots and I'm out of slot, how does that work?
So the parklet is limited.
Is it limited to the 2 or 3?
Two parking spaces. Although I'm not sure that carried over from the emergency rules. So that's something we probably have to clean up. It didn't carry over.
Okay, those are I'm going to support, obviously, because we need to charge a fee associated with it. I just wanted to be sure that when that conversation is had, those things are brought up again.
Thank you. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Any more amendments coming?
Well, what do we do with this thing that was raised in public testimony today?
So I spoke with the. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Alderman Huntley.
I would like to see the area near market space slightly extended. I spoke to the law office about this earlier today, and we thought that we would not need to change the ordinance. But I'm a little bit worried that we might. But at the same time, I think the amendment that we were provided actually does not do that. It's got the streets messed up a little bit. So what we should really be looking at here, there's really 2 places where this area is mentioned. One is in the exception to hours of operation, which we've just messed around with in, what was that, Amendment 4? In Amendment 4. And that's on page 4 of the underlying ordinance. But probably more importantly is page 12 of the underlying ordinance, where the exception is laid out. And in that case, it says the streets between Fleet Street to Pinckney Street and Pinckney Street to Randall Street shall be exempt. And I think what we'd really like to do is change that. I hope I speak for others in saying that what we'd like to do would be to change Fleet here. So currently it goes from Pinckney Street. I'm going to say it the opposite way because I think it makes more sense. So it goes from Pinckney Street to Fleet Street, right? That is what we currently have, is that main bit of the market space plaza. I think what we'd like to do is extend that from Pinckney Street past Fleet Street all the way to Main Street. So that, it's just one more block. And realistically, it's only one. I think at this point, it would only be changing it for one place. But it does make more sense to put that, I think, with the lease as opposed to having it be in a whole separate program. So that's my pitch.
Lynette?
So there is another restaurant further down, Chipotle. And what if they want this too? And by the way, there are non-restaurants there, other businesses, jewelry stores and others, and they're now going to be aced out of having any parking. I think we better consult with those businesses before we just simply give away all of this parking to outdoor dining, including the businesses that are not restaurants.
Alderman Huntley? Sorry.
Respectfully, Alderman Arnett, I think actually my amendment would make it less likely for those pieces of parking to get taken away. As of right now, this area of market space between Fleet and Main would be subject to the requirements of the outdoor dining program. What we're doing here is, with this, I'll call it a proposed amendment, is to exempt that area from the options we put in here, and they would only be able to operate under a lease determined by the city manager, which I believe has been delegated to Public Works. So this amendment that I'm going to say I'm proposing here to change Fleet to Main, actually, without any other changes, would make it harder for there to be outdoor dining there. And what would have to happen is a lease amendment will have to come before us to increase the area of what we're currently calling market.
So I'm looking at this that they submitted to us today in their testimony, and it looks to me like they want to close off more of the area as this is closed off for all of the restaurants, from McGarvey's on down to Fleet Street. And again, I wonder if Chipotle isn't going to want to come in and have the same kind of consideration, but I wonder if Zachary's and what is the other, there's another non-restaurant.
Buddies.
Yeah.
Floor.
So what happens to their parking gets aced out by all the restaurants?
Alderman Huntley?
So again,
question is here. Lots of hands over here. There's some enthusiasm here. Alderman Shanamai had his hand up first, so.
I think I share your concern, and I think it's a matter that we should balance. But what we would do that in is the lease amendment that would have to come before the council. And so the question is just really, does it make more sense for that block to be regulated under the outdoor dining ordinance, or does it make more sense to have it be regulated under the lease program?
Contract.
Right.
So,
and my argument is
in the
latter.
spirit of aldermanic courtesy, I'm going to yield to whatever you want for your ward. I hope I get the same return.
Thank you. And I think you'll have the opportunity to reconsider it when we have a lease amendment.
And they have had an outdoor dining area there since the outdoor dining started for the Market Square as well. So they've had outdoor seating there.
World hat?
Yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah,
still, it's been used for outdoor dining. Alderman Chandler, then Alderman Gay, then Alderman Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would also like to say two things. One, if Chipotle does add to outdoor dining, cool, more money for us because they'd be renting public spaces and we could benefit from that. Two, it's downtown. No downtown business is going to fail from a lack of 6 parking spaces in total. Let's keep that in mind here, guys.
Alderman Gay, then Alderman Savage.
Thank you so much. And I just did they reach out to you before today, or was today there, or maybe this weekend? I did see their testimony. I think it might have been Friday.
I believe it was Friday, I believe it was Saturday is when I first heard about this, and I worked on it first thing this morning. But as it turns out, we do need to do it in the ordinance.
And I don't know, and that's why I may not support this. I mean, this legislation has been obviously in the works forever.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I just am concerned about the unintended, consequences. Like I said, when I don't know, there was a previous restaurant there. I did remember they had, I think maybe 2 or 3 spots And it was one of the better examples of outdoor dining. It had the raised parklet, I believe, the bars around the back, etc. But again, to the alderman's point, how would that impact the flow of traffic coming down Fleet? Because
It's been an operation like that, and it's the same ownership, but it was a different name.
So
So, when it
it'll
was
be-
G&T, it's the same ownership. They did nice finishes.
So when you
can
come
come
down,
down
when you come
Fleet.
down Fleet, there'll be the parking, the market space reserved, obviously, and then they'll have their 3 parklets.
Yeah,
so you'll just lose those 3 spots.
we just do a wider turn. I think they're not asking for anything more than they've had before, I believe. So,
Okay.
and that's been like that for years in the summer now. So, I mean, no one died when it was. No one clipped it, or it seemed workable. You just
I had 3 residents.
Alderman Savage.
So this is making my head hurt because, well, first of all, I think we should just work this into the outdoor dining program. It's making my head hurt because this is called market space. It's not called car space, parking space, market space.
Market space is the name of the
for
street.
markets, for people, right? 2, we just built a huge garage, which is very, very rarely full. Okay, so you're talking about the only time these few spots would be needed is during big events, and even then it's a drop in the bucket. What's more important, let's keep this in mind, is opening up these spaces to the people, not the cars. So frankly, I would prefer to remove all cars from market space, period. Let them drive through if they want to get through, but we don't need parking over there. So, I'll support what you're trying to do, but I really want to go further.
But this is a proposed amendment, so do you want to make it an official amendment now?
Yeah.
Yeah, do we have wording?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm a little bit torn on this, but I think we can manage it okay because, again, we have to have a lease amendment come before us before any actual changes are made. So I will go ahead and propose an amendment that says that strikes Fleet Street and replaces it with Main Street. So it would essentially extend one more block.
Second.
Right. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, Alderman Gay.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I would like to add a motion or an amendment that would exempt all parking all across the board. No parking requirements at all for outdoor. I'm kidding.
Right.
Okay, so could I get
I'm sorry.
Alderman Huntley?
Sorry, very briefly, may I make, I'd like to make an additional motion just to complement what I just said. Under the exceptions to the hours of operation, I think we should make that be the same as this other area that we've just changed.
It'll be 11.
I'm sorry?
It'll be 11
Exactly.
for these contracts.
So I apologize. I could have
Okay.
just wrapped it into my last one. But so an additional amendment that would change, and now we've gone and changed it with Alderwoman O'Neill's amendment, but would strike what is currently streets and sidewalks contiguous to Annapolis Market House, 25 market space.
What page are you on?
Yeah. Sorry. It's page 4 in the underlying legislation. So we would strike streets and sidewalks contiguous to Annapolis Market House, 25 market space, and Pinckney Street from 25 market space to 12 market space. It would replace it with the new language that we've just added, which would be the streets between Main Street to Pinckney Street and Pinckney Street to Randall Street.
Okay, got a second on that?
Second.
But
Okay.
hard to. So are we on page 4, line 16, subsection B? What is it that we're actually changing?
Correct.
Streets and sidewalks contiguous to the Annapolis Market House. And now are we striking Pinckney Street?
We are striking Pinckney Street to make it in line. Essentially, what we have here, Alderman Arnett, is the way that the exception from the hours of operations is described,
Right.
both in the underlying ordinance and now even more so with my amendment, is different to how the exception from the outdoor dining program generally is described. I'm just trying to align those two things.
Yeah.
Except that the exception for hours of operations is slightly more broad because we're keeping the Dock Street part of that.
Yeah. I'm not opposing it. I'm just trying to understand how it reads.
Okay.
What line, what order?
While he's looking at that, Mr. Mayor, if I could ask a question.
Yep, on we go.
Are they not simply able to make a concession with the existing market space? I mean, there's ample seating there.
I think you're opening up a can of worms. Perhaps we don't want to get in.
I'm sorry?
I said, I think you're opening up a can of worms. Perhaps we don't want to get into.
Oh, okay. I mean, the restaurant is 2 feet away from 80 seats.
And again, with the amendment that we've just made, we're not allowing anything until we also bring forward a lease
It'll
amendment.
come back to you all. Yeah.
It will come back to you. So, Mr. Lyles, what I'd like to do is, in the underlying ordinance, and again, we've now changed this some with Alderwoman O'Neill's
So they're
amendment where it falls. But in the underlying ordinance, page 4, strike lines 18, 19, and 20, and replace those with the language that we have now updated on page 12, that with our most recent amendment reads the streets between Main Street to Pinckney Street and Pinckney Street to Randall Street. And just to be perfectly clear, on page 4, the part describing Dock Street from Market Space to Susan Campbell Park would remain. I'm not striking. Is that clear?
I have a question.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yep. Alderman Savage.
Because again, I think we're going to need to postpone this as amended on second reader anyway, because we have to get the fee resolution. So that'll give you time to work on this amendment, number 7.
So do we have to because of the fee resolution? Come this far, so can we move with the current fee?
Yeah.
And then we can come back on the fee.
But I've made a motion. Does it have a second?
I second it.
Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Pindell Charles.
Alderman Huntley, are the dining hours as they are stated here 7 a.m. to 11 p.m.?
No, we have changed that with
Okay.
the O'Neill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
I'm just doing my best to describe where it is.
In that area, yeah.
Yes. Sorry, they are 7 to 11. Sorry, but it would
Okay.
not be on the same page now that we have the O'Neill.
Okay. All right. Just wanted clarity.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Okay. Let's take a vote because we're all delirious here. All those in favor of amendment number, what is it? 7?
I think it's 8.
8?
Aye.
16.
Amendment number 8. Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. We now need to vote on this as amended. Can someone make a motion, please?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Is there a motion to adopt O-10-24 on third reader?
So move.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll. Do you want to stand up, Dick Frenier? No.
Maybe just discussion on that real quick.
Yep.
Because if we're not going to postpone it, it looks like we have until November 1st, 2025 until the resolution expires, but actually, well, technically it expires, I think, once we pass this legislation. So they won't be able to do outdoor dining until we pass the fee resolution, which is not going to be until probably June.
So that will happen during the budget.
But that means they're not going to be able to do outdoor dining between now and July.
It's
when
already
the budget passes.
warm outside.
Okay.
All right, because the fee resolution expires. I believe we worked in here when this legislation passes. Let me check.
Oh, the continuing resolution. Good point.
I'd say, Alderman Savage, we can suspend the rules and move that as fast as possible when we get that fee schedule. But I think we've come this far with this many amendments, none of which are substantive.
They're substantive to the constituent.
Okay.
Well,
Roll call, please.
Wait. You have to say point of order.
It wasn't a point of order.
Okay, point of, yeah, if you want the, yeah.
Are we still debating?
Yeah. I'm all for a. Let's just go for it. Come on now. Right.
Mayor Buckley.
Aye.
Alderman Hunt.
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Aye.
Alderwoman Pendle Charles.
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson.
Aye.
Alderman Shandemeyer.
Aye.
Alderman Gay.
Aye.
Alderman Savage.
Aye.
Alderman Arnett.
Okay. Alderman Savage, then Alderman
Just
Gay.
want to reiterate, we've actually been asking for that fee resolution for, I believe, a couple months now. We really need staff to prioritize getting that plan zoning and getting that to us.
Okay.
Their proposed fees.
Absolutely.
So just for clarity, if any restaurant is doing outdoor dining in between from now into our next meeting where we pass the fee resolution, it's illegal because the resolution has expired. Just for clarity, because they said that we can just pass it and we'll fast track it. But if this is just passed and
I found the resolution. It looks like it's 12 months from date of passage, so it looks like we'll be okay.
Okay. Great.
thank you.
So
You
November
just gave me a heart attack.
2025.
thinking about
Can
it.
somebody resuscitate Fran?
Point of order.
Alderman Huntley.
This ordinance says the outdoor dining standards expressed herein may supersede conditions associated with outdoor dining that were previously applied.
It does say may, it doesn't.
May.
Okay. So
Okay.
if the mayor says he's interpreting that may as no, then I think we're safe.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is O2324, parking and towing regulations.
Awesome.
So moved.
Alderman Savage.
Could I move Amendment 1?
Second.
And that is
Amendment
O'Neill.
one just
Yep.
establishes that it's for larger vehicles, but that the city manager through the police department will work to use a local company. But if none is available, they'll go outside the 1 mile radius.
Okay, sounds good. You got a second on that?
Second.
Okay. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Is there a motion to adopt it as amended?
So move.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt O-23-24 on third reader?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley.
Aye.
Alderman Huntley. Alderwoman O'Neill.
Aye.
Alderwoman Pendle Charles.
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson.
Aye.
Alderman Shandemeyer.
Aye.
Alderman Gay.
Aye.
Alderman Savage.
Aye.
Alderman Arnett.
Aye.
All right.
Um,
Mr. City Attorney, please present. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Okay, anything for good order, please? Alderman O'Neill?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Friday, this coming Friday, April 18th at 7:15 p.m., the Annapolis 250 celebration, along with Maryland 250 celebration, is sponsoring an event called Two Lights in a commemoration of the ride of Paul Revere that happened 250 years ago. And it's actually...
Did he make it this far?
No, but it's a commemoration that is taking place all across the United States, and we will have a horse and a rider riding up Maryland Avenue carrying two lights, which will be turned over to State House trustees. That's not the right word for it. It's the State House Trust and Archives, who will be placing two lights in the State House for the next 3 nights. And it's suggested that anybody else throughout Annapolis that wants to participate to put two lights in their window. And if you want any more information, Maryland250.net will give you more information about the different commemorations going on throughout the country. This was quickly put together when it came to our attention almost 2 weeks ago by Jane Cox, who is now the executive director of Chesapeake Crossroads, and she's worked feverishly to get this off the ground and rolling. So if anybody's interested, I believe you received an invitation this afternoon to come and be on the State House lawn for this transfer of two lights.
Sounds great. Thank you. Anybody else for good order? Okay, could I get a motion to adjourn? Before that, sorry, we are closed on Friday for Good Friday, so we wish everybody during that time to enjoy their Easter celebrations, their Passover, any other religious thing that they observe at that time. And we ask you all to go out and get some Easter eggs and eat lots of chocolate and have a great Easter. But we will be closed at the city on Friday. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great meeting adjourned. Thank you.